Hello, good morning. Good morning, everyone. Welcome to our online section to our number 47 webinar series in 2025. I am Charlie Swan, an associate professor and research fellow from the Institute of Bioproduct Development, University Technology, Malaysia. I will be your moderator for today's section. We are delighted to have you all here for this online section. The topic of the today webinar will be energizing yourself, boosting mitochondrial health for a vibrant life. The topic will be presented by our distinguished guest, Dr. MOHAMAD ROJI SARMIDI. He is currently the Deputy President of the Association of Nutritional and Functional Medicine Practitioners in Malaysia. He also served as the Director for the International Center for Madani Study Sdn Bhd. Actually, Dr. MOHAMAD ROJI was a former professor at the University Technology Malaysia since 2001. He is also our former Dean of Research at Alliance in Biotechnology, as well as the Director for UTM Pago, our branch campus in Pago from 2017 to 2019. And before we begin, a few housekeeping notes to all. The online session will be recorded. And if you have any question, you may leave your question or message in the chat. The secretariat will help you to process them, and I will try to post it out or read it out to our speaker after the presentation during the Q&A section. So without further ado, I would like to pass the floor to our speaker, Prof. Roji. The screen is yours. Thank you.
Okay, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi taala wabarakatuh. Alhamdulillahirabbil alamin wassalatu wassalamu ala asyrafil anbiya'i wal mursalin wa ala alihi washabbihi ajmain. Alhamdulillah, utmost thanks to Allah Subhanahu wa taala, and I would like to, the most gracious, most merciful, I would like to thank IBD, especially the director and Professor Chua for inviting me to participate in this auspicious webinar. And also I'd like to thank Dr. Farah, who has been organizing this program. And I'm really happy to participate in this program. It's been quite a while since I was involved with IBD. So I'd like to thanks and congratulate IBD for your good works. Okay, the topic of my presentation today is on the importance of mitochondrial health and the effect of our life. Just to start off, just imagine, just imagine that we wake up early in the morning before Fajar, jump out of bed, feel pleasant after have a good rejuvenating sleep, and we feel energized, full of energy, looking forward to our tasks for the day. Possibly that you were fasting yesterday because yesterday was Monday. Or probably you have a good intense exercise in the evening. Or probably you have a good body massage and sauna at Bakawali Spa. and probably you have light, nutrient-dense dinner in the evening, and probably you have early to bed last night. I'm sure some of you experience those moments early in the morning. You feel energized, you feel motivated, and sometimes you feel overjoyed, full of energy. I think that is the descriptions of what is vibrant life. Okay. I would like to highlight that the driver of our metabolisms is our so-called mitochondria, the organelle that produce energy, um, and not only energy, also provide us with a lot of other metabolites, especially the hormones, as well as neurotransmitter. And I would consider that mitochondria is the most important component of our cellular mechanism, especially in maintaining homeostasis. So, okay. Okay, not this one. Okay, sorry. Okay, I'm sorry. Okay, also mitochondria, as we are aware, it converts energy, our food, especially for example glucose, into our to ATP. Just for example, glucose produce about 30 ATP per mole of glucose, and fatty acid like palmitic acid produce about 160 mole of ATP, and the amounts of ATP that we produce every day. Just for example, if our body weight is about 70 kilogram, then we produce about 70 kilograms of ATP per day just to maintain our activity. Is equivalent to about 40 watt of energy produced continuously. And our metabolism cannot survive, our life cannot survive if the process of mitochondrial production stop for a few seconds. So that's the most important activity in our body. Okay, to assess the mitochondrial density in our body, you can use so-called magnetic resonance spectroscopy, and we can also have assay that involve biopsy, and they are all so-called not accessible to most of the public. And for us in the public, to me, the easiest guide to assess our mitochondrial density is just to look into our somatypes. That means how our body look like. The reason is because, for example, if you are endomorph or mesomorph or ectomorph, that actually is determined by the amount of fat that are stored, especially the visceral fat, the subcutaneous fat, as well as the intramuscular. That represent indirectly the density of so-called our mitochondria, because for those people who having really good dense mitochondria, like the athlete, their body look like the ectomorph, the muscle tissue high in mitochondria. Just to give us an example, the most active organ in our body in terms of muscle activity is our heart, contain about the mitochondrial that the mitochondrial density per cell is about 5,000, and most of our muscle about 2,000 to 3,000, and our endotheliums probably is about 1,000 to 2,000. And but the largest so-called the most dense mitochondria is our reproductive system, the oocyte. And our blood, the red blood cell, does not contain any mitochondria. Okay, so our body types, I would like to use that as an indicator of the mitochondrial density that in our body. Okay, so but we know that the mesotype, the body type, actually we can transform or change from one form to another through what I've described in the beginning of my talk. Whether how do we lead our life, for example, fastings will affect uh, the so-called the shape of our body, the metabolism, because fasting trigger a cascade of hormonal as well as metabolic changes in our body. The same thing like exercise, other hormetic stresses, things like sauna, and diet also affect our mitochondrial density. So actually, my presentation today is I'll just like to highlight a simple strategy how to uh, modulate or focus on how to enhance the density through the known process that is in public domain. For example, our mitochondria also subjected to mitophagy, meaning that the recycling of a damaged mitochondria, mitogenesis, that is the generation of new mitochondria, and also subjected to fission and fusion depending on our metabolic stresses that we give to our mitochondria. So what can we do? It's a lot we can do to modulate or to affect our mitochondrial density. And we have to remember that mitogenesis involves a stem cell. So you will see later that the strategy for enhancing mitochondria is also coincide also with the strategy to activate a stem cell from our bone marrow. Okay, so in effect, from this slide, actually most of the external so-called input is what we call term hormesis. Hormesis is like giving our body stress to trigger a cascade of biochemical changes, including a DNA synthesis to start the pathway either towards mitogenesis or mitophagy, as well as mitochondrial fission and fusion. Just for example, take exercise. But exercise that what we call intense exercise, like high intensity interval trainings that push our maximum oxygen uptake to about 80%. And then fasting, and then things stresses like heat shock like in sauna. After that, followed by a good sleep. That strategy actually is the most common strategy to promote so-called a healthy mitochondria in our cell. Okay, so how do we focus on the health of our mitochondria in more detail? So let's target the simplest, that is diets and nutritions. Of course, if you look into the literature, they will always focus on, they say that it's my Mediterranean diet with it's called grass-fed meat, a good oil. But in our case, things we are promoting coconut oil that is suitable for our region. It is a short chain and mid chain fatty acid, very stable and does not trigger and inflammations or extra oxidative stress. Of course, you have to have a lot of greens. I think that the main issue here is not only the type of the food that we consume, but also the amount as well as the timing. That's why nowadays things a lot of public are aware that timings of our meals is very important. Now they have now a lot of popular so-called promotion of intermittent fasting, the benefit of intermittent fasting. Uh, so I would like to highlight, I don't think there is any particular diet that is suitable for everyone. For I think I would like to recommend nutrient dense, wholesome food that are local to our regions. Meaning that our forefathers following like the Asian diet with rice, occasional meats, fish, and a lot of vegetable, and using a local ingredient. And the amount is that is suitable for our activity. For sedentary life, probably we should limit the amounts. Okay, so I think the essence is we have to focus on nutrient dense, wholesome, and it's not a processed food. This is a wholesome, nutrient dense food that is free from any mitochondrial inhibitor, things like herbicide and pesticide. Okay, the other strategy is exercise that focus on strengths as well as cardio. So we have to push our uh, so-called the cardio to the limits. It's just not just a so-called aerobic exercise, but exercise that involve strengths. Things like sprinting, for example, things like uh, uh, chin up, chin like pumpings, or even activities like, for example, cycling, but have to push to the limit to our maximum oxygen uptake. I think that the key is we have to uh, follow to our limits to trigger the what I call the autophagy as well as the mitophagy. And then, of course, we have to have a good quality sleeps. And the thing that we have just talked just now is fasting is very important. And at the end of the day, we have to alleviate our stress. Stress is as also have negative impact on our mitochondria. Other things that's important is exposure to sunlight, and for those who are traveling and not did not get access to really good food, supplementation is recommended. Okay, let me go to just this type of exercise, that so-called isometric exercise that can be done anywhere without gymnasium. Things like wall sit, planks. I'm sure farmer carries. You can carry heavy weight things like water bottles or anything that, and then trampolines, squat, cycling, things that can trigger what we call the autophagy activity. Suppose that the exercise is carried out while we are fasting, and then the process will be faster. Okay, these some of the supplementations that is important, especially when we are traveling or we are not getting really a good food. Uh, Things like omega-3s, ALA, alpha-lipoic acids, CoQ10, and others. I think this depend on what we are lacking. It is not a blanketing statement that we have to analyze what we are lacking. Then we have to supplement with the appropriate supplement. And of course, I have mentioned earlier that for mitogenesis, we have to require the activation of a stem cell. And luckily, the stem cell is also activated by homeostasis that we have discussed, things like stresses, either through fasting, exercise, or through homeostasis like sauna and all those things. So one thing I would like to highlight here is that we are blessed in our country that sub is a phytochemical that can contribute to all those so-called homeostasis. Curcumin has been promoted that it can trigger the effect, it can mimic the effect of fasting, can mimic the effect of exercise. So I think it's a good thing that we have this product in our country. You can take it either as curcumin extract or pure, or we can also take the so-called turmeric in our cooking. The choice is up to us, but as far as we are concerned, last year we launched a product called Neutral Turmeric. It's available. This product is registered with the Ministry of Health, and I think it was launched together with IVD during one of the conferences. So things that's about all that I would like to discuss today. What's important is there are a simple strategy that can help us to enhance our mitochondrial health, knowing that mitochondrial health is very important. It's not only to provide us this energy, but it also, mitochondria also trigger the production of hormone, especially the testosterone, and also and then also the neurotransmitter, dopamines. And mitochondria also produce building block for our cellular components. So with this simple strategy, I would like to highlight against nutrient-dense food, wholesome, quantity that is appropriate to our activity. And we have occasional fasting or intermittent fasting, if you like to call it. Then exercise, have a good sleep, especially to follow the circadian rhythm, so at least 11 to 4 we are sleeping, 11 a.m. to 4 a.m. we are sleeping, to follow our circadian rhythm. This is where the regenerations as well as the so-called removal of our byproduct are being carried out. And also the importance of avoiding mitochondrial toxins, things like herbicide, pesticide, heavy metals is important. I believe with this simple strategy, and I've been following it for quite some time, it helped us. And I still remember when I was in IBD together with Professor Katia. Now she is in Canada, as well as Dr. Jang, Fizi, and others who have been discussing that. And now we confirm that almost every metabolic disorder, from hypertension, diabetic, cardiovascular, cancer, it started with malfunctions of mitochondrial activity. And you can, even the latest publication, almost it is involved even the so-called the things like Alzheimer, ADD. They found out this also a malfunction in mitochondrial so-called activity. So with that, I would like to conclude. Please take care of our mitochondria. And thank you very much to IBD inviting me to share some of our topics in our nutritional medicine practitioners. So thank you very much, Dr. Chua. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Professor ROJI, for your sharing and insightful presentation. We are now directly moved to the Q&A section. We invite the first question. Okay, and the question is from Mohamad Cairo. Prof, he is asking how does exercise influence mitochondria, biogenesis, and efficiency? Prof?
Okay, it is not just any exercise, but it's called intense exercise, high intensity exercise. That I've mentioned that it is a form of homeostasis. There is a specific pathway that trigger, and in fact, a specific protein that trigger, and one of them, of course, is the AMPK pathway. That's also the same pathway for autophagy. Uh, but I would like to highlight that the intent exercise so-called create a demands of so-called higher energy. So the pathway trigger for the generation or the biogenesis of mitochondria. Things that is in general term, but there are specific pathway proteins as well as the so-called the up DNA that's being triggered after an intense exercise. But the pathway is known. Yes.
Okay. So, okay, thank you, Muhammad Khairul. Prof, we have another question from Muhammad Amirul. He would like to know, is there a simple daily routine I can follow to keep my mitochondria healthy?
Okay. Yeah. Yes. This is very good. Yes. Very good question. Very good question. I think this is something that I would like to highlight. That these are simple daily routines that we can start to practice. The most important things I think is we have to follow a circadian rhythm. Circadian rhythm meaning that we have to sleep during the night, especially 11 to 4 p.m. This is where most of the regenerations as well as the so-called detox process are occurring. That's one. The second is at least we engage in so-called intense so-called activity. I would like to recommend things like sprinting, run as fast as possible for a few seconds. For example, if we run for 5 to 6 seconds, and then we stop for 30 seconds and run again for another 5 seconds, and then at least do it for 2 to 5 times. And that's what we call intense exercise. It's not a prolonged thing like joggings or long running. It's just a short duration intense exercise. If you don't have access to a field, we can do it on our trampoline, treadmill, or we can also do things like intense exercise like burpee at home, squat, wall sit, on our trampolines. We can also do that. But the main thing is exert to our maximum oxygen uptake rate, VO max, up to about 80%. Yes, can do it slowly. And then, of course, the most important as the important thing is our diets. Our diets must be free from things like that disturb the mitochondrial so-called structure. Things like trans fat, fatty acid, polyunsaturated that is easily oxidized, heavy metals, herbicide, pesticide that being used in our agriculture. That is also important. And the other thing is, of course, how to so-called calm our mind. Things like prayer, salat, those things are very important. Yes, I think that's thing that we can do every day, put in our routines. That we have to have access to all these things, especially the intense exercise, good rejuvenating sleep at night, and follow our circadian rhythm. Meaning that we have also times to we call our daily routines, going to the toilets to at least morning, evenings, to what they call. This is although it looks simple, but it's very important because that reflects a good digestion in our body.
Okay,
Okay.
absolutely agree it. So we invite the next question. This question is from Dr. Nico Leong. Prof, She is asking, I have been practicing 16-hour fasting for 3 years. Last year, my body checkup showed low iron. Do you have any advice for her? I am so happy seeing you soon. Prof,
Okay,
this is
thank
your
you.
previous
This is
staff.
this is Dr. Nicole, eh?
Yeah, I think yes.
Okay, okay. Talking about iron, I think normally what is being checked is either hemoglobins or ferritins. From what I know is that iron is 30% of our world. Our earth is filled up with iron, so iron is abundance. The issue here is, iron is abundant in our food, especially those are consuming meats, but also abundant in our vegetable as well. The issue here is when we check our iron low in our bloods, and we have to check also the ferritin in our blood. Ferritin is the less soluble iron form, is F3 instead of F2. So the reason why sometimes I'm not sure, because I have to check your all overall history as well as the blood test. In the event that our body is inflamed or under oxidation stress, then our body is very clever. It will shift or store the iron into ferritin so that our body is not exposed to the oxidative stress by the iron. Meaning that it's not only consuming iron as a solution, we have also to check the level of inflammation. If our body is inflamed, then our body will try to keep iron away from the blood. I think that is the important thing. So we have to check our ferritin level, ferritin level. Ferritin. This is a protein that bind to our iron, meaning that trying to keep the iron away from our cell is stored is ferritin. In event of that our body is under oxidative stress as well as in under inflammation.
So, Prof, do
But
you
could
mean
be
that if higher ferritin mean that it's not so good condition?
high, yes, yes. Hyperactivity means our body trying to shift or trying to store, trying to keep the ions. But the reason it could be there are many reasons, but one of the reasons that without checking into the detail is inflammations and oxidative stress. But inflammation we can check either through uh, their blood test to check our inflammations. Yes.
Through the blood test, we can know all this information, right?
Yes, we can check homocysteine. We can check our C-reactive protein. See how was the inflammation level. Homocysteine is simple. C-reactive protein also it's not
Okay,
expensive. Yes.
okay, good. So we are waiting for the next. This is the question from Rahima Sabto. Prof, she is asking
Okay,
what
okay,
are the earlier signs of mitochondrial dysfunction in the body?
okay.
Earlier
This
sign.
yes. Very good question. This is the question that I'm waiting for. Actually, this is a good question. I mean, in the absence of this called magnetic spectroscopy that involve biopsy is very expensive and other assay. A simple in the observation to see whether our mitochondrial density is up to it or not is just to look into where our body storing fat. Is our body storing fat? So it can be the so-called the visceral fat, which is sometimes not easy. Visceral fat is the fat that is deposited within the abdomen's so-called space. Sometimes around our heart, sometimes around our kidney, our so-called this is a stored. It's called visceral fat. Because the visceral fat is an in okay. Second is it's called subcutaneous fat. There is in our tummy, for example, if you can pinch our tummy, fat is called subcutaneous fat. We can see it. You can observe our arm as well. That's called subcutaneous fat. And the others also is called intramuscular fat. This is thing like Wagyu beef. If you have you ever consumed Wagyu beef, so the fat actually is intramuscular within the muscle. Actually, what my Wagyu beef is actually is a not a healthy beef because that so-called the presence of intramuscular fat is an indication that the cow is having metabolic disorder. And then if asked that Wagyu beef to run, I don't think the bull can run or the cow can run. Okay,
So,
coming
Prof,
back, so we have to test to
um,
check our body shape. Actually, where the fat deposit is it subcutaneous or is it within our so-called abdomen's cavity? So by the shape. I can talk about this in more detail. The reason is because, for example, it's if our so-called, because we know that excess of if our body cannot handle, for example, carbohydrate, glucose. Suppose it is from sugar or from fruits, fructose. It is stored in our liver as fat. If glucose is stored as glycogen, then but glycogen stored is limited. Then after the glycogen stored is full, then we convert into fat, and it's also stored outside. But the reason why we cannot utilize glucose is one of the indications of our mitochondrial so-called actually it's not malfunction is the either the density is low and because each so-called a deformed or damaged mitochondria, our body will recycle it, recycle it. That I would like to highlight here is probably the density. The density means the numbers of mitochondria per unit cell. So for example, from the diagram that I've shown just now, the endomorph, ectomorph, mesomorph, the ectomorph lean like Dr. Chua, Prof. Chua. I think she is ectomorph. Her muscle is full of mitochondria and they can handle all food easily. So we can restore back the mitochondrial density through things like I mentioned just now. Start to fast, start consuming so-called nutrient-dense food, avoid mitochondrial so-called inhibitor. But in Malaysia, I would like to highlight that something that is the mitochondria is called trans fatty acid that is available everywhere. Trans fatty acid is for us is like margarine in roti canai, in biscuit, in our so-called condensed milk everywhere. I think that is a starting point that I always mention during IBD time that our forefathers never encountered this so-called trans fat, so we don't know how to handle and become normally is put in our cell membranes that disturb ours. So to cut the story short is just be aware to check our own body, check whether there is a so-called tendency of visceral fat deposition. We can feel by we can see something like bloating, enlargement a bit of our tummy. But of course, the best test is there are tests that can so-called. There are formulas. If you don't have access to that, is a Luxembourg Institute of Health. They have. I forgot to put. There are formula that can assess the visceral fat by measure. For a lady, we have to know the BMI. You have to measure the diameter of our so-called abdomen at the belly button, and then the circumference of our thigh. And there's a formula in it. You have to plug in, and then you know that what is the percentage of visceral fat. It's not the true percentage, but it's the most accurate is of course NMR to check how much our visceral fat. Okay, Visceral fat is the most thing that we try to avoid. The second, of course, the subcutaneous, and the second is the intramuscular. The third is subcutaneous. Subcutaneous is although unpleasant, but it's not as so-called detrimental as the visceral fat. Okay, that's
Okay, thank you, Prof. So, Prof, will you say directly link fat to mitochondrial health? You mean like that?
Meaning, if our mitochondria cannot use the nutrient, they will store. I mean, as indication, as
Excessive
for
fat.
example, those people having ectomorph, most of the input will be utilized either for protein synthesis, for metabolism, for immune system, all of things be used. But in the event of our mitochondrial activity or density drops, the choice that we have is just to store them,
Okay.
as
Okay, Prof.
adaptation. Yes.
So, for us, maybe we can go to clinic to do our blood test, and then including the parameter of this kind of visceral fat, intracellular muscle fat, all these things. So, based on the data, Prof can help us to calculate the mitochondrial density, see our mitochondrial status, something like that. Is it?
Yes, the backend also there are online available a formula that you can plug in. Yes, can.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
but the
okay,
most
okay.
important thing is the early indication is how our body shape look like. I think as a man, as a woman, we have to be concerned what the shape look like, whether it is uh, so-called subcutaneous, or whether the shape of our body is like apples or like a pear. Apple also indicates something. Pear is also indicate something else. Yes, but our target is to be like at least is our target. I mean, like athlete, so that our our muscle mass, and that contribute to higher energy levels, mood, so called positive
Our
mood,
activity, right? Our activity
our
also.
yes, brain functions,
Uh.
concentration, happiness, and make our life more meaningful. And rather than
So
trying,
the mitochondrial condition also depend on gender, female or male. The requirement are also different, all these things, right?
um, mitochondria is trying to supply us with the energy as well as the metabolite that is required by our metabolism. Things, of course, there are the requirement for those are different from men to women, especially during, for example, women are involved in reproductive. That's why in oocyte cell, mitochondria is about 100,000 to 600,000 per cell, the reproductive cell. But for even like a heart cell, the mitochondrial density is about 5,000 just compared. So reproductive organ are really, really important. So this where the energy requirement, and which is very good. For example, a good healthy woman. I mean, I know that people who are sometimes now, this is from the data in UK, in Ireland, in US, in Europe. Caesarean's birth is increasing, meaning natural birth is decreasing because the energy, the muscular, are decreasing. So because like childbirth require a lot of energy, like a lot of energy, and these are all muscle activity. Sometimes
Mm.
labor for 24 hours, 18 hours as compared to in the past. So mitochondrial, especially for the women, is very important, not only for beauty, radiant skin, because now there are cosmetic that the main ingredient is my ATP. ATP,
ATP
meaning
for cosmetic.
yes, me try to give energy to the skin to make it lively, more radiant, instant. But we can also do that naturally. So I mean, there are ATP-based cosmetic available right nowadays.
Okay, okay, good, good, good. So, okay, we invite for the next question. I believe that there is many people waiting. Yeah, we have here Fitrin Hussein. Prof, he would like to ask what regulatory or scientific challenges do business face in marketing mitochondrial targeted product?
Okay, the only thing that I know is Professor in Professor in Harvard. Can't remember his name that focused on the mitochondrial products. But the reason is that in terms of business, most of these mitochondrial supporting product is a natural product nowadays. Although now people are trying to synthesize natural product, things like resveratrol, for example, things like ALA, alpha lipoic acid, things like turmeric. So I would like to highlight that this product can be obtained, can be consumed in our food. So the business aspect, I think, to develop a product which is proprietary, uh, I think they are trying to think like Professor, I cannot remember his name, the professor in Harvard Medical School, that he promote a product based on resveratrol, but it is more towards anti-aging strategy. I think with natural products that I mentioned just now, I think if you can provide so-called a good documented, fully registered with our kementerians, things to have respected products that affects our mitochondrial health is also is a good strategy. Uh, but I think it's a challenging. The reason is because most of these products are available. Things like green tea is available. Things like turmeric I mentioned is available. So it's just matter of our daily practice. And the thing that I would like to highlight always in IBD is things that are good is almost free or low cost. Normally, like things like water, exercise, things these
Eh,
are
eh.
all yes are just free for all. I mean, it's available for everyone's. The only thing is, are we prepared to utilize it in so-called right manner? For example, fasting is free. Fasting
Mm.
free, best, and hopefully this strategy can be implemented in slowly in our body, in our lives. Inshallah, I think it'll be better. You feel so-called motivated every day, feel full of energy, ready to serve others, and not to confine ourselves with all this talking about uh, disorder. Because at my age, when we meet with our friends, normally we'll talk about what medication they're using, what sort of medication you are taking, all those things. And then
Mm.
climb the stairs slowly, don't walk fast, don't run, don't. I'm recommending, okay, run as fast as possible, sprinting is possible, do a lot of high intensity because that will keep our mitochondria so-called not only healthy but also so-called we are in regenerative capacity, and hopefully with uh, God helps to bless us with call this know-how and humbleness to serve others, inshallah. Because at the end of the day, although we do all the right thing, but if the father say that it's something else, then we can avoid that. So this is what we call we have to be thankful and accept whatever that been given to us. I think because acceptance also very important. Gratitude is very important for our overall health, including mitochondrial health. Those who are younger or those have it's not healthy to our hormonal, especially the cortisol. Cortisol rises, then everything else also start to drop.
Yes. Think positively, right, Prof?
Yes.
Okay. We would like to invite the next question. This question is from our postdoc, Efaliza. She is would like to ask how big is the global market for mitochondrial health supplement and therapies? The market survey.
Okay, to be honest, I don't know really. I don't know. For the probably this is IBD should know better because they keep track of what they call bioproducts. Let me check what's the name of the professor in Harvard that he has been promoting this. Okay, I'm sorry, I don't know how much. Yes.
Okay, never mind. Later on, they will Google some information from the website because after the Prof. ROJI talk, I think they have a deep interest to do the mitochondria-based product for marketing. We invite the next question. This question is from Puan Maizato. She would like to know in what way can boosting mitochondrial activity be leveraged in cosmeceutical formulation to promote healthier and younger looking skin? Prof, in what way boosting the mitochondrial
In what
activity?
way can boosting mitochondrial activity leverage? Okay, what I've been talking is more towards the so-called the natural way of boosting mitochondria in our body. So to have a radiant skins, and complexions, we have like a clear skin. We have to have a healthy mitochondrial in our so-called skin cell. So we know what is in the list that just now I put, what is the list of important nutrients that our mitochondria require, from the minerals, things like the magnesium, the zinc, the seleniums, and then the B3, and then we have the ALA, all those things. And if you look into the strategy of cosmetic, normally nowadays they focus on trying to mitigate the effects of so-called mitochondria that leak out so-called pro-oxidant, because if our mitochondria is not really healthy, then this is a tendency our mitochondria to leak out the oxidative species, because during the electron transport we produce a lot of what we call the oxidant. So that's why the strategy to supply antioxidant is a good strategy, but that does not really so-called improve like lip and balm, because just only mitigate the effect of the pro-oxidant or the oxidant is being produced by the electron transport activity. So the thing that been talking just now, how to, for example, to enhance the density, I know it's only through what we call homeostasis process, like the one that I mentioned, either fasting, sauna. So that's why a lot of ladies like to go to sauna without knowing the effect. They have a good skin and have an elevated mood. So try Bakawali Spa, try the sauna. So I think that's the easiest I know I can think of any formulation. So the other thing is just use cosmetic that is being blended with ATP. I think that's now the trend is like that. Rather than that, IBD is focused on the skin nutrients, meaning providing the skin nutrient in the formulations, meaning that the nutrient is to feed the skin cell, and then the skin cell will supply that thing to the mitochondrial cell. So the current strategy is to put directly ATP in the formulations.
So both aspect, the surface and the internal ATP, right? Boost the skin radiance.
Yeah, exercise also can contribute. Heat well, intensity exercise for short duration also can improve as well. Yes. Yes.
Yeah. Just now, Prof did mention run for a short run, a few minutes run, but
Not a few
for
minutes,
those
a few seconds, not
a few
minutes.
seconds, not a few
Yes.
minutes.
Yes.
So,
Not.
but for those the leg is not so strong, what are the strategy
Okay, walk
for
as
the
fast
exercise?
as you can, because our body will respond to it slowly. That will strengthen the muscles, strengthen the bones, strengthen the regenerative capacity, but slowly. If you cannot
Okay.
run,
So
walk. If you walk a bit faster than normal, a bit faster, yes, yes. But of course, have
a
to
big
discuss it.
step and walk faster, right?
Yeah, of course,
Okay.
as so-called normally you have to say, okay, discuss with your doctor first. Yeah, I think as a safety precaution. Yeah,
Okay,
discuss
okay,
with
okay,
your
okay.
doctor. Yes, yes.
Okay, well, so
But
we
don't worry,
invite the
our
next.
body is resilient. Yes, yes.
Okay, okay, Prof. This is Puan Abaina. Her question is, can intermittent fasting or specific diet, example like ketogenic, Mediterranean diet, can improve the mitochondrial health?
Okay, the answer is yes. The answer is yes. The only thing is, if we look into it more thoroughly, ketogenic diet for long durations can induce, can trigger what we call inflammations. So by inflammation is, I mean, it's the cortisol, the stress hormone will rises. So it's good to practice ketogenic diet from our experience is for short duration. For short duration means probably 2 or 3 months, and we have to check so-called in our urine the ketone level. But before I'm saying that, I think any intermittent fasting on any diet, intermittent fasting on any diet will definitely improve. This from the study. Any diet, whether you're following a ketogenic diet or you follow Mediterranean diets or you follow a Malaysian diet with wholesome food, intermittent fasting will improve tremendously. This is the fact. Meaning, even if we are not at so-called practicing intermittent fasting, we just space out our food instead of 5 times a day, probably to 3 times a day or 2 times a day. So that will improve because most of the process will start is upward of after 14 to 15 hours of not consuming any after the insulin level so-called plateau, meaning about 17 hours, then the effect start to have effect. For example, if we fast, for example, from Fajr to Maghrib is about 12 hours, probably it's not yet. So the thing is that probably with the last meal is after Isha, after Maghrib. So then they will add about 18 hours, meaning fasting without sahur. I mean, just drinks coffee or tea or water, so that to extend the fast to about 18 hours to get the benefit of this mitophagy and mitogenesis. But I think, of course, Prof. Chow also aware that fasting also generate growth hormone and other endorphin good hormone to help to mediate even our emotion. I hope
Okay,
answer that.
okay.
It's not
Yeah,
easy as
yeah.
well.
Intermittent fasting together with any diet will do. Okay.
Yes, but if you wanted to,
I think we just enough time for the last question. This last question is from Dr. Farah. She would like the can you propose the diet for women aged between 40 and 50 keep their hormone balance and feel more energetic? Prof.
okay,
Diet for women.
this question is a bit sensitive in the sense that okay, if you are prepared to listen, I'm okay to talk about this. Okay. Okay, premenopausal is not something that we have to dread for. I mean, it is a natural process that our body shift from this called the hormonal to another level. It is a natural process that actually benefit our body physiologically, mentally, and spiritually. I know because I'm 65 now, and my family also more than is about my age, so we know that the process That's why it's not easy to answer this question because it is. But don't worry about the changes because there's a natural process. The only thing is we have to still practice a good lifestyle. I think from all the things that I've discussed, I think uh, diet is part of it. The most important thing is our mindset, and then don't worry so much about diet as long as it's a wholesome. As long as wholesome, wholesome means it's not processed. And our forefathers are used to it, meaning that we are phenotype for that particular. For example, if our forefathers are from this so-called so-called Alam Melayu and not from, for example, from India, then probably the chances that we are adapted to rice and we are not adapted to milk. We are not adapted to milk, and we are not adapted to gluten that present in wheat. So it's safer to consume the local diet as long as we follow that principle and not in excess, and all the food are wholesome and not processed. I feel that that is really a good diet to support our whole lifespan. Once you
Okay.
reach the age of 50, 60, or 40, I think the main issue here is as I mentioned earlier, is sarcopenia. Sarcopenia means losing muscle mass. And muscle is the most important, the biggest metabolic organs. This is where our mitochondria, this is where the building block are being made, is in our muscle, because it's the largest organ our. So to keep our muscle intact, we have to have so-called high intensity exercise, load bearing exercise, something like weightlifting and also or body weight exercise. That is very important to avoid muscle mass. But once muscle mass is preserved and the other hormonal issue will be taken care. Muscle mass is very important. But for those who have a lot of this called subcutaneous fat as well as the so-called visceral fat, then the muscle normally will be sacrificed. That's because of cortisol. So we are not going to that direction. So follow the directions of a healthy lifestyle that focus on exercise, high intensity, can be done at home, can be done. UTM have a lot of film. Just have a dash after work for a few seconds and then go back home. That's a thing. Access to high intensity. I think that is my recommendations. Yes,
Okay.
maintain muscle mass
Understand.
at elder age. Yes, yes, yes.
Okay. Be moderate and be happy. So, Prof, please
Yes.
stay with us. I have another request, another last question from the audience. She is asking, from Puan Muna, she is asking, having problem with nutrient absorption in gout other than consuming probiotic. Any suggestion for her? She is having the problem with nutrients absorption in gout.
Wow. It is a so-called. It's not as a simple question, but I would like to highlight that our endotheliums, the lining of our gastrointestinal, is the fast growing turnover, cellular turnover, meaning that any injury, any will be replaced quicker than other uh, tissue or organ in our body. Meaning that uh, our creator knows that because our gut is being exposed to lot of things. And if you look into the condition of our stomach, very acidic. Even if put metal, it can dissolve. And then you go down, then very alkaline. And you go down further, then also acidic because the presence of a lot of so-called this microbe. that convert any cellulosic, not cellulosic, the undigested into fatty acid. So to understand this issue, we have to look overall, because it's not just a purely digestive issue, because, for example, a stress also can induce acid secretion. Stress, if you're under continual stress. So the point that I would like to highlight is we have to have a time where our gastrointestinal have the right nutrient and have the right condition to heal, meaning a rest. We have to have rest. In our practice, we are recommending, for example, a long fast. Long fast meaning a few days. Some center recommend a 7 days fast, meaning just consuming fluids, meaning that we wanted to stop digestion for a few days, so that the endothelium lining will heal. Don't worry about fasting. I have in the literature, there are people that fasting more than a year, 300 more days. There are in Germany, fasting is routinely in private hospital. Private, I've seen in France fasting for 1 week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 1 month. But for gastrointestinal, fasting is the most recommended. Of course, under supervision, of course. So my recommendation is fasting on top of other things like glutamine. You can also recommend to reduce the inflammations. But the strategy that I know of is fasting, extended fast. Try for 24 hours, then another duration, try for 36 hours. How does it help?
Okay,
To
thank
give,
you, Prof. Roji. Thank you again for your advice and suggestion, and how to keep our mitochondrial density up to the desired standards. Hope to see you soon. Now we come to the end of the section. I represent all the participants to deliver my sincere thanks to Prof. And also I would like to thank all the audience for your active participation. Hope to see you soon and have a wonderful day. Now the section is concluded. Thank you.
thank you very much. I really thank you.